Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video.
Have you ever wanted to capture those killer minimalist photos that look so simple, yet are full of impact? Well, in today's video, I'll show you how to capture stunning minimalist photographs with some easy and practical advice. And be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll share a unique tip that I think can often be the secret ingredient to a successful minimalist photograph. So, how would we actually define minimalist photography? Well, at its very core, it's just about simplicity. It uses minimal elements to highlight the main subject, creating clean and impactful images. And why actually, as photographers, would we want to even take minimalist photographs? Well, there's a few reasons, and the first one that I really like is that at its very essence, it's about finding beauty within the simple. And with that being said, it's so inclusive. It means you don't have to feel like you've got to be in big, epic, grand, beautiful landscapes all of the time, because you can find simplicity anywhere. And a really important part of what makes a good photograph, if not the most important part, is composition. And this is another reason why I love minimalist photography, because you've got to make real informed and deliberate decisions about how you're composing your photograph. And that's what I want to get into with this first bit of advice. So the first thing that I want to talk about is subject. Now, when it comes to minimalist photography, the key to start out with is to choose a strong subject and then aim to simplify the rest of your scene. The best tagline actually that I can think of for this type of photography is less is more. If you take only one thing from this video, let it be that. Just remember, less is more. Now, as for subject, ideally, try and find just one single subject that stands out. Really what you want is for that subject to be isolated from everything else within your photograph. Look at this image I took of a simple oak leaf, for example. It's all about the leaf. Your eye isn't overly distracted by anything else within that frame. And this subject really could be anything. It could be some reeds or grasses that you found down by your feet. It could be a really striking lighthouse, or even just something as simple as a little pattern or water flow you've noticed in the middle of a river. But yeah, by isolating your subject, you remove distractions and draw the viewer's eye directly to the main focus of your image. A good rule of thumb is for you to think, is it immediately obvious what the main subject is within this photograph I'm taking? If the answer is yes, then you're off to a brilliant start. And I think this style, minimalism, not only creates a powerful composition if you do it right, but I think anyway, it also brings a sense of calmness to your photograph. Oh, you know what? I'm going to be really honest with you here today. I'm struggling a bit, but actually for one very specific reason, and for me, weirdly, this is actually quite rare. And that is that I'm really craving light. And I think it is weird because, well, I suppose if we want good photographs, we should be craving light most of the time. But I'm actually not that bothered generally about light. And I mean, I suppose I'd always prefer it, but you know, the lack of it doesn't put me off usually on a photo shoot. Yeah, but today, even with these glorious, moody skies that we've got that I love so much, I don't know, just everything feels a bit flat and uninspiring without light. These are pretty cool though, aren't they? Pretty cool probably sums it up perfectly. It's all right. It's just, it's one of them. You know when you kind of know as a photographer, you see, oh, there might be a photograph there, but something deep down inside of you is telling you, just don't even bother. There's no point. It's light. I'm mad for light. Anyway, let's get on to this next bit of advice regarding minimalist photography. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is the importance of what's called negative space. And using this technique is a really powerful tool in minimalist photography. Now, as a definition, negative space is just simply the empty or uncluttered area that surrounds your subject. Actually, to simplify this even more, I often view a minimalist composition as two parts. Firstly, the main subject, like we've discussed, something that's really obviously a main subject. And then secondly, it's a case of making sure that everything else that surrounds that subject feels clean and simple and peaceful almost, like there's just nothingness. That's the negative space, that nothingness. And this approach really highlights your subject whilst maintaining that all-important sense of simplicity. Think of it as giving your subject room to breathe within the frame. Another really easy technique to get great minimalist photos is to take long exposures. This really is a fantastic way to enhance that kind of minimalist feel by actually eliminating textures within your frame that might actually make your composition feel a bit too cluttered or messy, you know. Look at these images, for example, where I deliberately used long shutter speeds to smooth out the water and to really rid the photographs of, like I said, too much texture and distractions. Again, this technique reinforces the minimalist look by focusing on shapes rather than having loads of intricate details and stuff, you know, and it's just a great way to add an almost dreamlike quality to your landscapes while still remaining that all-important, clean and simple look. Now, as we move on, I would love to take this opportunity to say another massive thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. So for those of you that haven't heard of Squarespace, I'm here to tell you all about them. It is an all-in-one platform that you can use to build your own website. And don't be intimidated by that prospect. If you are mad for your own website, if it's a dream that you've always had, definitely have a look at Squarespace. They've got loads of templates that you can use to get yourself up and running. They all look so professional and polished. You add a little bit of text and some images, and before you know it, you'll have your own website. Now, if like me, you'd like to take your website beyond perhaps just being a portfolio to showcase your photographs, you can sell stuff through your Squarespace website as well, which is what I do. I sell my prints, my ebooks, I advertise my workshops on there, I sell my calendar on there as well when it's the right time of year. And like I always say, I would not be able to run my business without it. They've also got award-winning, fantastic customer service, so they can help you out at every step along the process of you building that website. So if you'd like to give them a go, head over to squarespace.com/Henry Turner. That will get you a 14-day free trial. So you haven't got anything to lose. That'll also be available via a link in the video description as well. If you like your free trial, make sure to use the offer code Henry Turner at checkout to get 10% off your first purchase. So I was just thinking actually of an image I got from this location a few years ago during the blue hour, and this is the image that's in my head now. And I thought actually this brings up quite an interesting point, that I think there's a difference between minimalist photography, let's say in my own opinion this photograph, and then just extremely simple compositions like the image that I just showed you that was taken during the blue hour, some of these beautiful little river channels and big puddles that we've got on these salt marshes here. But anyway, I'd love to know your opinions about this, because to me these simple photographs are pretty much the same thing as these minimalist photographs, regardless of proper definitions or anything like that. They still fall under the same bracket, and plenty of the principles of minimalism that we're talking about in this video apply to these sorts of shots as well. But I'd love to know your opinion on that. Do you find there's a massive difference between these two types of photographs? That would be really interesting. Now, like I said earlier at the start of this video, I promised I wanted to provide you with this bonus tip that I think can often be the secret ingredient to a really good minimalist photograph, and that is to manage colour contrast. Now, simply put, colour can actually be a distraction in minimalist photos, and for us to maintain that clean and simple look that we're so often looking for, try and actually limit just the amount of colours that are in your scene. For example, in this photo of these frost-covered reeds, the subtle colour scheme enhances the minimalist feel. And going back to our Oakley photograph from earlier, what is it that you notice? There's only two main colours within the whole image. Alternatively, you could even consider just shooting in black and white, which will obviously, you know, remove colour distractions altogether. And I think by going out with the intention of shooting in black and white rather than it being an afterthought, you can better focus on creating those strong yet simple compositions, which, like we've been saying all along, is basically minimalist photography at its very core. So why not check out how I captured this minimalist photograph from beside a river in the Lake District by clicking on this video that's popping up on the screen now. And if you enjoyed the video, if you found it helpful, please hit the thumbs up button. It really helps me out. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you on the next adventure. Out!